Hey everybody, Regina Andler here, and it is time for Coffee with Regina. And today I have my friend and colleague Denise Richards with me, not the fitness guru. And we are here to have a cup and a chat with purpose. So welcome, Denise.
Ah, I am so excited to be here this morning. And if you notice, yes, I supersize it. And, a former coworker made this cup for me, and the lettering is starting to wear off. But Denise runs on Dunkin' because they all knew that no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am, I always have coffee with me. So that's my vice.
So
But
I have to ask you this question though. So Denise
yes,
runs on Duncan, and you're in Arizona. And so in Arizona, I'm not even sure. Out here in the East Coast, if you say you run on Dunkin', that means you run on Dunkin' Donuts
yeah,
coffee. So is
yes.
there Dunkin' Donuts in Arizona?
There is. And of course, I got that cup in North Carolina when I was living in North Carolina. And that has a funny thing because I grew up in New England. So
Hmm.
yeah, Dunkin' on every corner. And then I moved to North Carolina and it was like 10 miles to get to a Dunkin' Donuts for coffee. Now, fortunately, where I ended up working, it was close to there. So every time they would open a new one, because I was in the real estate industry and I would pay attention to all of the corporate zoning, like whoever was pulling permits to open businesses. And every time I saw, oh, new location for Dunkin' Donuts, I'd be like, yeah, doing my happy dance. And of course we all know, and I will drink Starbucks iced coffee. I've never adapted the taste for their hot coffee, and I don't mean to have this huge coffee conversation,
Well,
although
it,
it is
it, it is Coffee with
it is
Regina. So
coffee. But anyway, I feel like there's a difference. So here in Arizona, yes, Starbucks is far more prevalent. And once again, the closest Dunkin' Donuts is quite a distance from me, which is really surprising. But
yeah.
anyway,
So
so
I know you are out in Arizona and you are a very diverse coach. So you do a lot of coaching in a lot of different areas. And out in Arizona where you are, I have to say I'm a little bit envious of where you are because you're in Arizona and I think you said you're about a mile away from a spirituality center and all this other stuff. And it's just a really cool place. Tell us a little bit about where you are.
oh my goodness. Yes. I am in northern Phoenix and absolutely I think I mean I found my haven, or I call it water in the desert here, because yeah, less than 2 miles from me is a center for spiritual awakening, and they do yoga and they do meditation and sound bowl healing. And I absolutely love it. And because when I first moved here, it was right when the pandemic and all the shutdown happened. And so for really like 2 years, because those places weren't going to be opening. Those were like the last ones. Of course, stores and things were opening, and but places like that where you would be gathering in groups, there was nothing like that going on. So it was quite an adjustment when I came here, and so for myself to now getting out with like-minded people, and that's why I'm calling it water in the desert, because I was so thirsty for 2 years. And Dunkin' Donuts alone won't do it. Dunkin' Coffee won't do it for me, right? I needed to be with people. And if I had to say, like, who am I? Yes, I am a certified professional coach, and I love what I do. And yes, I'm in an area that supports it, and that it just is like a life force that is absolutely incredible. But I am a lover of life and a lover of people. And that's why it was so critical for my happiness to be able to get out and connect with people. And I feel, if anything, that the pandemic has taught us is that we really are all connected. And when we get that separation enhanced, like our life force to me starts to diminish. There's nothing worse than disconnectedness. Um, yeah, and so
Yes.
I am so grateful to be where I am, and I'm so grateful to be on this call with you this morning.
Well, thank you. And yeah, so that the first universal law is the law of connectiveness, right? And so it's the idea that we are all energy and all energy is connected. And yeah, let's chat about that for a couple of minutes because I know a lot of people were in that same spot where um, the pandemic hit and then everybody had to quarantine, everybody had to stay home and all this stuff. And then the world started opening up and then it started closing back up again. Then it started opening back up again. And, I actually just wrote an article about this for a magazine that I write for, and I called it from virtual to reality. And it was all about the going from this, we're all home, we're on Zoom, and it's not quite the same as being in person and that handshake and the hug. And it also depends on what kind of personality type you are. So
Yes.
I'm hearing that you're kind of the extrovert type.
Well, it is so funny. I am a duality, because in my work, it's always been very public. I was a hairstylist for 30 years and then in the real estate industry. And I ended up running a relocation department where I was daily communicating with people from all over the country. So, it's that day to day interaction, like all day long, full tilt connectedness. I find that then when it's my downtime, I'm pretty much an introvert. I really love my quiet time at home. I love that, it's me and my dog, and she doesn't give me a hard time most of the time. I just really love the decompression. So it is a dual thing. Like I've got that outer persona where, yes, I love being super connected with people. And then when it comes to my time, I'm a homebody. It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the ambivert, where you're a little bit of both. And it sounds like you're actually more introvert than you are extrovert. And I'm actually the same exact way. And the signs of the being an introvert is that just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you don't want to go out and, see the people and shake the hands and get the connections. If you're an introvert though, and you go do that, then you want to come home and all of a sudden you're like, I need some quiet time. I need to recharge. I need to rebuild my energy. And that's actually a sign of an introvert. And when it was kind of an interesting dynamic when the pandemic happened and everybody was home, because everybody started doing Zoom and WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger lives and all kinds of different things that were going on just so that they could connect. And even though I feel, and I want your opinion on this, on your take on it too. I feel like even on like a Zoom or a WhatsApp or something like that, we still connect, and you can still, we're all connected, so you still get the energy. It's not quite the same as actually physically being right there with the person.
I agree. And I think something that gets missed is the depth of the relationship. So if you are on like social media and just kind of posting and reading people's posts, and you get that little bit of a spike of, oh, someone liked my whatever and everything, but that is not open-hearted connection. That just isn't. And you and I we've had the luxury of being on many, many Zoom meetings together for what, a year and a half, something like that. And the people who are in our cohorts are open-hearted. We've cried together. We've cheered together. So that depth is still that connection, even though I'm on the other side of the country. Like I feel a connection to you, right? I really, really do. And one of these days we will meet in person and hug. Um, so I think that the elevated consciousness to come into something open-hearted,
Mhm.
I think that is the magic ingredient.
Yeah, let's chat about that for a minute because I know that you have been looking at the heart math
Yeah.
stuff, and I've looked into it. Yeah, I know some. I have a friend who is certified heart math and that kind of thing. What is heart math? You talk about that. It's about the connections.
Yes, and I think what's really, really incredible, and so for the people who are your listeners who like something a little bit more science backed and not woo woo, even though I love woo woo, love it. I guess maybe once again that duality. I am amazed when there is science that backs something, um, and in the heart we have 40,000 brain, um it's neurocenters or something. And so there is one scientist, Dr. Andrew Amor, and his research has led him to calling the heart the mini brain. And so these neurocenters from the heart send signals to the brain. And what's really incredible, I did read some of his like 118-page report that would make your eyes glaze over if it was something that you weren't interested in. And here's an example of the studies that they did. And they had people like various groups of people, but they would be sitting individually, I'm sure in front of like a computer monitor, and the flashing of the pictures on the screen were either going to be extremely emotional or very peaceful and calming. So it was going to trigger them one way or settle them down. And when they had the cardiac monitors attached to them, this to me is incredible. The reaction from the heart was 4 to 6 seconds before the person saw the image.
Really?
So the heart knew 4 to 6 seconds before they actually saw the image. And so that's where they say the studies are going to, the heart center is where intuition comes. And they did multiple studies in different categories, and you'll love this, entrepreneurs were one of the categories they studied. And they said they were the most heightened. And it's basically because, as an entrepreneur, you know this, we have to make gut decisions a lot. That
Yeah.
our logical brain can run round and round in a circle, thinking of this fact, that fact. And either way could be maybe an option, but we still have to decide on one. And so we trust our intuition. Like you have to bring that in. And that's in your heart center. And so ever since I've been learning this, oh my goodness, what I've been doing. And Monday, I found myself like in the circular thinking, well, I should do maybe, but what if? And all of that kind of doubt and stuff started creeping into my head. And I thought, darn it, you're doing it again. You haven't engaged your heart in this thought process. And as soon as I just slow it down and center and kind of close my eyes and just bring the issue into my heart, I'm able to find clarity. And for me, I have determined, at least for me, clarity isn't up here. Clarity is here.
I love that. And you pointed out a bunch of different things, and you actually gave me an idea or a thought. And the first thing I want to say is that that whole idea of, the heart being, engaged before the brain's engaged.
Yes,
Even as a mindset consultant, I talk about conscious and subconscious, and it's not just the conscious and subconscious. There's the heart center as well to consider, because like you said, science backs it that it actually engages before some of the other stuff engages.
yes,
And so that's amazing right there. And when you talk about how you calm down, how you just stop and you get into your heart, that's all about being present.
yes.
And I think that's a lot of people, I'll say the word struggle. A lot of people struggle with being present. They're so focused on something going on in the past, so focused going on in the future, that they can't stop for a second. And in order to get to that heart center, you have to be present, because that's what's right here, right now.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
so correct. Yeah, because a lot of our thoughts and our decision making is all in the future, like we're thinking down the road, or we're reminiscing of something that went wrong in the past, and we're bringing that into the current situation, and instead of just, you know, so so
Yeah.
I've been feeling really great. And if you don't mind, I just want to share one more study that was
Mhm.
done because I got a kick out of this one. Professional gamblers, their hearts knew up to 18 seconds before they found out if they won or lost after they placed their bet. So the 18 seconds, and so the scientists were saying if professional gamblers could find a way to be aware of that they could possibly change their bet. you know, I mean, that's really crazy, but can you imagine? And that's what they show, that they put monitors on professional gamblers. And I think of it and I say, if we looked at our businesses and life, there's always risk. So we're kind of all gambling.
Yeah. So, something just came to me there too. So, and I know you know this stuff too. So this is a great segue into this conversation, is energy. And so
Yes.
when you think about, everything is energy. And so that heart stuff, that the monitors, that's what it's doing. It's monitoring the energy. And so when you think about that with the gambler who 18 seconds prior knew whether they were going to win or lose, that's the energy of what's going on right around them. And when you can harness that energy and pay attention to it, and make decisions and choices based on the energy, just think about what you could do. I mean, I can't imagine the gambling thing with me, if I knew and could make the change 18 seconds.
Yes, yeah. And I think that there would need to be further development, like the heart was reacting. How does that become a comprehensible thing where you're making a decision? I don't know. Unless, yeah, I mean, I don't think you could sit at a blackjack table and go, oh, let me center into my heart.
That would be interesting. Let me just be present here before I make my bet and flip this card.
Yeah, the eye in the sky, you know how they have those cameras in the ceiling? They would be like, what the heck is going on? I'm not counting cards. I'm just checking with my heart.
It's funny because we talk about that, and I talk and I teach people all about their inner GPS, and
Mhm.
I call it the inner GPS, and it's that inner energy. It's those emotions. It's the stuff that's going on that clues you in before your brain even engages, and that's kind of what you're saying with
Mhm.
the heart math, is that that's what's happening. It's not, maybe not just your heart, maybe other pieces too. Again, I call it the inner GPS. That whole being, you get butterflies in your stomach or something, you get chills, you get, the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, whatever it is, there's something happening before the thought has even come to your head. And you're like, okay, I should do this. I shouldn't do this. And you decide.
Yeah, that's the intuitive center. It's just really cool to find out that there is something with our physical heart that
Yeah.
syncs with that intuitive center. Like that is just mind blowing to me. And I love energy. You know, you and I have talked in the past about quantum physics. And so the other day when I told you, my head was going in circles again. And I thought, wait a minute, old habits, just calm down, center. And it made me think of that quote, and I won't remember it perfectly. You may. Albert Einstein says that you can't solve a problem using the same thinking that was used when the problem was created. That in a nutshell. And I thought about the energy of the flow to me, like coming from the heart center versus the energy that my brain that goes in circles. And so chances are a lot of the problems that we find or challenges that we find ourselves in, were either created by a decision we made with just our minds instead of trusting our intuition. And that's not to say there are things outside of our control.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this actually came up I have a group that meets every other week, and it's more of a personal development group. And we talked about the idea of people, and I use the merry-go-round as my analogy instead of the hamster wheel these days. So I use the merry-go-round. So you're on the merry-go-round, you're going around and around and around, and maybe you're sitting in one of the benches, you're doing absolutely nothing. Maybe you're on one of the horses, so you're sitting up, and it's not one of the horses that goes up and down. Or maybe you're on one of the horses that's going up and down. The thing is you're going around and around and around in that same circle, and you're doing the same thing. You might be making, go up and down, or you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And you sit there and you wonder, how come things aren't better? And people stay in that pattern for years, sometimes a lifetime, unless they decide to jump off the merry-go-round. And it usually takes something to really jolt them out to get off the merry-go-round. So like you and I, we started looking into personal development and mindset. We started learning, and in learning new things, you raise your awareness to a different level of the possibilities of other things that could be going on. And at that point, we're like, okay, you know what? I'm done with that merry-go-round. I'm going over here now. And so the conversation we had on Monday night was, why do people decide and choose to stay on the merry-go-round?
I've been in the past a merry-go-round rider.
Me too.
And fortunately found my way off, and I just say, oh my goodness, thank God. And I think it's a fear. There's fear from deciding to change. It's also familiar for them to just stay where they are, not rock the boat and everything. And then I think that there is a lack of awareness that they don't even know they're on a merry-go-round.
Yeah, that was actually where I was hoping you were going to go.
They don't know they're on a merry-go-round.
Yeah, it's the awareness. I think a lot of people just go through life with their blinders on, and they keep hoping for things to be different, and yet they have the blinders on, so they never see anything. And so they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And while they would like a different result, they actually kind of accept the fact that they're not going to get a different result. And they just keep going around and they never make a change until something happens. I mean, if you've known anybody who all of a sudden had a near death experience or had some critical diagnosis or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like they woke up. And when we say like awakening, it's they woke up to go, what am I doing? I'm on this merry-go-round. Why am I here? Yeah, I get it. Yep, the merry-go-round was good. I created a bunch of stuff on the merry-go-round, and I lived my life, and things aren't necessarily bad. They're going around. It's my comfort zone. I'm good with it. And yet there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even know. And I want to go check it out. And it's when you finally make that choice, that decision to jump off the merry-go-round and go, you know what, let's go see what's out there. And you get past that fear. And it's like the floodgates open.
Absolutely. Curiosity is my word of the week. Like I have a word for the week, and curiosity is my word for the week. So when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh, that feeds into curiosity. And I love that. And I mean, I personally can say, someone could disagree with me and say, no, this is far more tragic. I think human tragedy is when there are people who live with the blinders and just don't even know that there could be a better way and that there is a way of getting there.
Yeah, that's actually a good message, is that if you are one of those people who may be watching this and you feel like you've been stuck, you feel like you're in a rut, you feel like you're on the merry-go-round, it's that stopping and being present, getting centered in the heart. And then when you do that, I think that heart math comes in really handy there, because your heart's going to go probably before your brain goes. There's something better. Are you ready
Yes.
to go there and check it out? And make that decision to jump off and go see what's out. You're on the horse already. All you got to do is jump off and gallop away.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
so much out there, and there's so many new things that are coming about. And I think that there's it's for me, it's stages. So I was on the merry-go-round for many, many, many years. I spent many years in corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder, doing the thing, because that's what I thought I was supposed to be doing. That's what I was told that I was supposed to be doing. You go to college, you get a job, you move up in the company, you retire on your pension, life is good. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I'm saying I'm glad it doesn't. I mean, I don't intend to ever retire. I just won't. I mean, I love stimulation of growth. I mean, I just really love seeing potential that gets to be realized. I that that feeds my soul.
Yeah,
That
you were talking about your word being your word's curious this week. My
yeah,
word, my theme for the week, for the quotes that I do every week, is improvement, and I keep talking about continuous improvement. And I view life as one giant continuous improvement path,
yeah.
that everything, it's learning new things, improving on things that were the changing. I think, let me ask you this and get your thoughts on this. I think that a lot of us are trained and we're taught that change is bad. And I think that's where that comes from. I think a lot of us are brought up with the no, 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 we don't like the change. We want to stay where we are. We're comfortable. We're good. Everything, we know what's happening here. So we don't want change. And that's really a limiting belief, because change is awesome. I love change.
I was actually thinking of that when I was walking this morning, and I thought, It's a known fact. People resist change. And yet, how many cells have reduplicated in our bodies since yesterday? Like, it change is a constant. It is constant. And you know, when you were mentioning that some people become awake after having like a near death experience, and I find that what often makes someone become the driver of change is after a life changing experience. So yes, it could be um, a serious illness. It could be a divorce. It could be a job loss, job change, a move across the country, anything that just really makes a big change in their world. Very often people will get triggered for transformation. Now, they may still only look for ways to duplicate the comfort zone that they already had. And so they may not make like a transformation, a real big change in their life. The other thing that calls people to transformation is like an inner knowing, and as you said, someone hearing us this morning could be saying, something's been pulling at my heart, like that intuitive hit. That's that little thing that like I was meant for more than this. I could be doing better, yeah, those are the pulls. And 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 recognize that those kind of pulls are very different. That is always for your growth. That is different than the little voice behind your head, which is ego centered, saying, "Oh, what are you thinking? You can't do that." There's a
Yeah.
difference. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah. That's a really, really super good point. Is
Yeah,
that, there's a difference between what you're feeling in the heart and that ego that is
yeah,
feeding you information. And it's like, is that true? And
yeah,
it's like, no, that's the ego talking versus what is really true for you in the heart. And I think that's what people miss a lot is that we just go on and on and on with what we think we know. And we don't pay attention to some of those feelings, some of the heart that we just don't think to pay attention to it until we're made aware. I mean, I know we both work with the same business coach. So, and
yeah,
we talk about Terry Levine's conversion equation, and the first part of the conversion equation is to interrupt. And I tell people all the time, you need that interrupt. It doesn't matter if it's interrupting somebody for marketing. It doesn't matter if you're interrupting your life, your
yeah,
patterns, and saying, you know what? I'm going to interrupt the merry-go-round and jump off and see what's going on here. There needs to be something that happens. So whether it's a life event or something like that, that's an interrupt in your life that sends you all of a sudden onto a different path and helps you consider that, hey, there might be something different. And what if I go there?
yeah.
You know?
So true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff here. We're actually over 30 minutes now. and
I'm
I
not
know,
surprised.
well, I know we can keep talking because I'm thinking about some energy stuff too. So I know we could go on and on and on. And, however, I like to keep these around 30, 35 minutes.
Absolutely. That's only more reason to do this again sometime.
Exactly. You will have to come back again because, I'm dying. We could go into a whole conversation just on energy. I know we could.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if folks want to get a hold of you now, like I said, for all of our folks watching, Denise is a very wide and diverse background, as you can tell, and has a
Mhm.
lot of great information that she is sharing with people. So if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find you?
Well, I will say that on Facebook, I use my maiden name, which is actually my middle name, Denise LePage Richards, because there are some famous Denise Richards, and like I remember one time when I first started in real estate, they said you should Google search your name and see what comes up. Well, you would never find my name. Like there's 10 pages of the actress and Charlie Sheen and all of that, like ahead of me. So I thought, okay, well, I need to use it. And even though legally, I signed my name, Denise Richards, but it's Denise LePage Richards. So you can find me on Facebook and also Indigo Creative Coaching. .com or on Facebook, my business page is Indigo Creative Coaching. And I just do want to explain, coming from a real estate background, a lot of my public stuff right now is that, yes, I do coach real estate agents. And in the past year, I've been making a much deeper dive into working with energy and transformational. So I will soon be in the fall unveiling lots of life purpose. That's my passion because I've realized I have found mine and I just need to share that.
I am super excited for you. I mean, doesn't that feel so good when you
Yeah.
hit that spot, when you find that awareness and all of a sudden you're like, I'm here. Every, every, every cell, every piece of energy, everything that makes you up, it's just, everything is just vibrating with we are in the right spot. You hit the nail on the head. This is where you're supposed to be. That is such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that's right. I have to pinch myself most days. Like this is my life, and it is. You're the co-creator, so
Exactly. All right. So thank you so much, Denise, for being here. I really, really appreciate your time and, love our friendship. And, even though we've never physically met in person, we've known each other for a long time now, all virtual. It's
yeah,
amazing the
yeah,
connections you can make, right?
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and so I am looking forward to hearing more about what you've got coming up in the fall. And if anybody wants to get a hold of Denise, Denise, if you want to, after we're done, drop the links to
Okay,
your page and stuff right in the video here underneath in the comments, and then
okay,
folks can hook up and keep track and see what you're doing when you start launching in the fall. That would be awesome.
great. Thanks
And
so much. Love you, Regina, my good friend.
I want to thank everybody for joining us for a cup and a chat with purpose with Denise
Mm.
Richards, Denise LePage Richards, not Charlie Sheen's wife or ex-wife or whatever she is.
Ex-wife. Yeah.
And until next time, we'll see you all later. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.